After a chaotic race at Charlotte Motor Speedway, a race of all time, we are back for the Krispy Kreme National Series, and it is getting hot, right in time for the summer action, and it is going to be a race to the chase during the summer with only 6 races to go in the season. It has been a season dominated by Logan Williams, but today we are tackling the 2-mile super speedway of Michigan International Speedway, and we'll see who ends up winning race 11 on the season for the Cooper Standard 250. What's up, everyone? It is NS Race 97, aka Nathan Stapleton here, and welcome to Michigan. And this is going to be a fun couple of days here at Michigan International Speedway, and doing something a little bit different. We got the National Series on a Friday afternoon at 5 p.m. right now, and then of course a couple races tomorrow at 1 p.m. And speaking of the Cup Series race, we got 2 drivers from the Cup Series that are in the booth here today, and one of them was in the booth calling that wild race at Charlotte. We got Amy Miller, and then we got Stuart Graham back up here in the booth here as well. And welcome to Michigan International Speedway.
Yeah, I think this is going to be an awesome race here. Michigan typically puts on some really good competitive racing. Probably be multi-groove, I would have to imagine. But we'll see. Obviously, every version is a little bit different. Whether these guys are going to be able to drive a little bit more aggressive, or if there's going to be a little more slipping and sliding going on, remains to be seen. But it's going to be a pretty short race, so not a lot of time to get up to the front. I think that'll just kind of ramp up the intensity factor for a lot of these guys. I'm excited to see how it's all going to go down here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a very, very interesting race in terms of how these cars handle this racetrack. It's bathed in sunlight, and so it's going to be less grip, and it's going to be quite interesting to see how they handle the track. And obviously we've got a pit stop in this race as well. So, and we got Kyle Craven starting up in the front here in the 15. Comes in this race 25th in the standings. So it'll be interesting to see who can work their way forward and who can capitalise as we're getting ever closer to the chase.
Absolutely, and you mentioned our poster, Kyle Craven. He's starting to get some momentum on his side later on in the season. Is it too little too late? We just have to wait and see, but 25th in points, he needs to go on here today just to maybe consider himself into the wild card scenario. And there's some other drivers up here that need a good one for the chase, right? The outside poster, starting second Alexander, he's had a lot more speed than really currently at in the points. He's 18th, has that wild card with the win, but he's on the bubble of falling outside of the top 20. So he needs to go on. Benjamin Amai Jr., he's fallen off a little bit, he starts third, and then with Bo Crown Jr., he's really dropped back as of late. He starts fourth, and a lot of drivers need a good one here, and I'm going to ask you this, Andrew. There's only 6 races to go, and we're starting to see some of the drivers breaking away from the field, and some that are losing to the top 10, top 15. Michigan's a wild racetrack. What do these guys have to do to survive to the end here in this one?
I think a big part of it is going to be keeping the car under you. Try not to slide around too much, and that can cause some big problems. Even if you are starting deep in the field, not getting too jiggy with it, as it were, and getting super duper aggressive and potentially taking yourself out, which especially if you're guys like Ryan Durrani, for instance, or Angel Gutierrez, guys that are trying to claw their way forward up to the top 10. If they end up having a bad race here, that may cost them dearly as far as any chance of making it into the top 10 on points. So I think patience is going to be a virtue here, even in a short race like this at a track where, grip is going to be at a premium, like you guys were saying.
Absolutely, and it's kind of a cool day, 75, but like Stu said, the sun is out. And speaking of Stu, I'm going to ask you this. It's a short race, only 30 laps, but there will be a pit stop around lap 29, a lot of Tyler here. And that could open up a whole can of worms on that pit stop. What do you think might be the winning strategy here today?
Well, it will be, if this race stays clean and green, I mean, it will depend on what the tire wear is like, I suppose. And Michigan's not a massive tire wear track, so it may just be a case of like maybe two tires towards the end if it comes down to it. But of course, we have to factor in the fact that we could have a yellow in the race, and that could throw everything out the window. It completely change the race and how these guys approach it in terms of strategy. So we'll see what happens. It could be 4, it could be 2, but it also depends on how the race plays out and how these guys handle the track and how they drive it.
And we'll see what ends up happening. Michigan is a wild race track, and we'll see what happens with the strategy. The race to the chase standings with 6 races to go. Logan Williams and Avery Alpha are looking pretty comfortable up towards the top. Same with Chris Sugar and Benny Watson. All 79, 55, 46, and 41 above the cutoff line. Roman Ayers having 2 wins on the season. Had a really good year last year in the Power Truck Series. Made the chase, but not nearly as good as the season as compared to this year, though. He has 2 wins and 5th in points, 33 points above. Caleb is plus 25. Felicity Mendoza, plus 5, or plus 3 actually, based off of Charlotte, and is now 20 points in. Duncan Wood was the big one. What a story that he had at Charlotte, and he's now in the top 10 in points, 8th, plus 16, and a win to rely back on. 9th is Nick Lopez, Mr. Consistent, top 10, top 15 ones, and only plus 15, and then Cosimo Talladega winner, plus 12, and Abel, first one out, minus 12, Jordan Stout in 12th, wildcard number 1, and is 17 points below. Juan Duane in 13th, minus 21, Andrew Gutierrez, minus 26, Bradley minus 30, Chris Mullins, minus 30, Roberto Crown Jr., minus 31, Alexander Rowe, wildcard number 2, minus 32, and then Benjamin Amai Jr. and Eric Marco, 19th and 20th, 42 points behind the cutoff line. And then, especially for Kyle Craven, this is a big day for him, possibly. 25th in points, 64 below the cutoff line. He's only 18 points outside the top 20, so regardless of what ends up happening, it's going to be a big day for him. But on the pole is Kyle Craven, and alongside is Alexander Rowe, Benjamin Amari Jr. and Roberto Crown Jr. in row number 2, Ben Watson and Felicity Mendoza in row number 3. Last time I was winner of Duncan Wood in the 5, and then Gavin Perry with a good one in 8th. And rounding out the top 10 is the number 28 of Bradley Ream and the 97 of Eric Monaco. And then you see him all the way in the back part of the field, and this number 44, that is Logan Williams, still deep in the field in 30th here today, and that's going to be a story all day long. But it's time to get these draws off here at Michigan International Speedway for race 11 on the season. Andrew and then Stuart, who do you guys think will win here at Michigan International Speedway?
Well, I'm liking the odds for car number 5 with where he is starting there. Duncan Ward, and of course it's Duncan Ward. He's a heck of a driver in his own right. Of course, already has 1 win. Looking to add his name to the multi-time winners list this season, and I think starting in a prime 7th place, I think it's a great place to do that.
Gonna go. Oh, this is tough. There are a few drivers I could go here. I like the number 8, Chris Jericho's 13 points, and he's had a great year, 46 above that cut line at the moment. Would love to get a win for Add Insurance and to maybe move his way up the standings, maybe past the guy behind him, Avery Alford in the 27. Maybe close in on the 44. I reckon the 8's going to go to victory lane.
He's had a very quiet season, and honestly, I forgot a couple times this year of how consistent he has been. He was 4th in points entering Charlotte. He's now 3rd, and maybe today will be his day. But how about this race front row? We got Kyle Craven and Alexander Rowe. Both of these drivers need a good one here today. 18th and 25th in points. And we'll see what ends up happening. Multi-group racing, slipping and sliding here for a Friday afternoon race. And it will be Kyle Craven and Alexander Rowe leading us to the green. Race 11 on the season, the Cooper Standard 250 is green at Michigan International Speedway. 3 by 3 by 3 throughout the entire field almost, and this is where you have to make as many positions as possible. Alexander Roll will lead lap number 1 here today, and Benny Watson tried making a move for that race lead, and we're going to see this all day long. The middle is going to be where you want to be. Kyle Craven up to the front as they're 3 and 4 wide behind them. I saw a couple cars on the apron. And welcome to Michigan. This is a crazy racetrack, and we are seeing it early on.
Boy, are we indeed. Yeah, outside, looking to be the place to be. As yep, there goes the 5, losing grip on that inside lane. Someone else that's back there is Jordan Stout, who, let's just say, maybe looking to redeem himself after Charlotte for obvious reasons. Oh, I don't know how that's going to be much redemption there. 4 wide going into turn 1. Sketchy stuff, but it looks like they're going to be able to sort it out, at least for the time being, as 7 looking for the race lead.
Yeah, good move from Crown. Started 4th on that outside lane. So able to get the run on the outside. You can see there into turn 1. You don't want to get too low because obviously there's no grip down there. And you have to check up. You lose a heap of ground, and it really makes things quite difficult. But you can see the outside lane. It's an interesting racetrack, Michigan, in the sense you've got a lot of high speeds. And if you're in a drag race, you want to be on the outside. You get the acceleration quicker off the turn. And that's a big part of it. In this race, Crown trying to get that inside lane to work, but got no help behind him at the moment. As Mendoza in the 29 and the 21 of Perry doing a good job inside the top 5.
Shout out to Perry there and number 21. Also, I've been saying that they've had a lot more potential with their speed, but they've not taken advantage of it in these races, and whenever they do, they end up having bad luck. And the yellow car back there of Charlie Davenport just outside the top 10, top 15 as well. So good one from OCR. And how about Felicity Mendoza in the number 29 to the inside? And that is the very interesting thing about Michigan. If you want too low, you drop back. If you want too high, you want the chance of getting out of the groove. And Felicity Mendoza running inside the top 10 in points. And look at this move from Gavin Perry, 3 right through the middle.
Aggressive move there from Perry, but it's going to work out. It's going to put the 7 on the far low lane, not where he wants to be. And we're starting to stack up here a little bit at the front, going back to 3 wide. And I think it's going to allow more guys in here. Oh, my goodness. I thought, man, I don't know who that was there, but I thought they were about to split the middle. Whoever that was, about 6th or 7th-ish. But they keep it clean, and now starting to settle it back down. Thankfully so, but yeah, some hard racing here. That's good stuff. It was the 97, that's who it was.
Eric Monaco on the 97. You see Rowe trying to get back to the inside for the race lead, but he's got no help down on that inside. Watson here, the 48. This is a guy that could very easily win this race in this 48 car, and started up towards the front. He's been up to the front all race, and he's definitely got the car to do it. I know that because the 48's owned by my team owner, Chase Harris, in the Cup Series. So certainly very capable of winning this race. We know Benny Watson's a great driver. Trying to work his way forward on the inside. But the field, they found it. Oh, look at the run that the road got into turn 3, dove it off in there. But the field has certainly found their rhythm. They've gotten into the groove of the race. And look at the 48 going to the inside now, 3 wide for the lead. And we'll see if he can make this one stick and kind of get to the way inside. Yeah, he just maybe a little too low, although he can carry enough speed through. And it looks like he's going to clear, and he does.
This racetrack might be more racy than what I thought. What a move from Benny Watson, 3 wide on the inside to the point. 4th in points, and he's been very consistent all season long. Kyle Craven making a move on the inside. At Monaco, he's starting to get hot, a lot like Duncan Wood. Both of them, the 5 and the 97, are getting hot at the right time. And Monaco could be a driver that he could seal a win in one of these final 6 races before the chase and make it into the chase, trying to defend his season 2 championship. All those years ago, Watson out front, trying to whip the high side, goes a little bit high. That's going to allow Mendoza to close in. And I mentioned this is a short race compared to the Cup race. It's 50 laps. Today it's only 30. And we're all the way on lap number 9. And all the way halfway through the fuel window, roughly, as it is 20 laps. And some fantastic stuff early on here at Michigan Andrew.
Oh, indeed, yeah. There's a lot more passing going on here than I thought there would be, because usually if you get like a total outside dominant track, it is almost impossible to pass because the natural place to do that is on the inside. But these guys are able to make it work. Oh man, there's Watson up the track again. That's making me nervous for Benny Watson. Him washing up the track there, just getting into that gray. That could open the door very, very easily for Mendoza and the 21 of Perry. So as Perry heads up checking up there, here comes Stout onto the quarter panel of the 7. But I agree with what Stuart said earlier. I think that 2 tires may end up being the call when these guys do pit. Minimize your time on pit road, and I'm sure that'll be a strategy for a lot of these guys, especially as he was mentioned. A track like Michigan, you usually don't get that much fall off. Oh my goodness, Gavin Perry way up there.
21 way overshot turns 1 and 2 there. He went way up the track, and that's what happens. We talked about that outside lane. If you get too high into the turns, really you lose a lot of ground, as much ground as you do on the bottom. As you can see, the 5 of Ward trying to make his way forward, but just got stuck too low in that grey and going to lose a lot of ground. Perry lost a couple of positions because he completely just overdrove that turn 1 and 2. But, the field, no one's really, Watson's been able to control the lead, but he's not, pulling away per se. These guys are still hanging around. You still get those runs off the turns. You can still close back in as Crown got a very good run here in the number 7. And looks like they'll get past, and Rowe's going to try and follow through here. The 31. The 31 was caught up in crash last week at that pit road incident, of course, with the 11. But hey, the 11's doing quite well at the moment. But obviously the 31 lost a lot of ground in terms of championship. I know he wants to get back some points and get back closer towards the top 10.
Absolutely. Hopefully Stout doesn't do something controversial again this week, but he's had a lot of speed, and he has a lot of speed here today. Might be in contention to get his second win on the season. I believe his first one was at Darlington, and his teammate is going to make it through. Jericho and Ward about gets taken out by both of the pits. And look at Liam as well. That's 3 and 4 wide. And Michigan is a fun track, and we are seeing that all over this race right here today. And we got 50 laps tomorrow, so I hope you guys are excited for that. And actually driving in that one. But right now it's so good for Ben Watson, but he might be challenged too soon by Jordan Stout.
How would that be for a win? If Jordan Stout manages to win this after last race's shall we say chicanery? I don't know what you call that, but if he manages to pull this off, my goodness, what a redemption that would be, and a big haul of points that he wouldn't have to fall back on his wild card. He could just point his way in to the chase. And running third right now, he's got a great car, and this 11 is looking very, very strong. Looked very strong at Charlotte before that happened. So these speedways looking to come alive for the 11. Going to get stuck on the inside lane here. But it seems like when you're double wide, you can still keep it within the dark stuff here in the rubbered up lane. So it's going to be that serves you a little bit better than if you're on the inside 3 wide. It seems like once you get into the gray, whether it's outside or inside, that's where the grip just completely goes away, and that'll send you backwards. And yeah, just checking there on Matthew Burnett coming forward in the 43.
Yeah, doing a good job in the with the highest of those cars at the moment for Alpha Prime Racing. We would have expected maybe the 44 to work his way forward. You see the 45 back in there as well. Hey, shout out to Caleb Rose, by the way, the 38, who also started way down the order. He's moving his way forward quite nicely in this race, so keep an eye on him as this race goes along. And once again, you can see 42 way up the racetrack, got split there and lost a heap of ground as a result. You can see Watson, again, he's been able to control the lead. He's had a couple of moments where he's been a little too high. Now Mendoza is a little bit lower in that lower groove, a little bit more grip there, trying to get the run. Can't quite do it. Watson's been able to power his way, or keep himself in front, I should say, thanks to that run on the outside lane. But you might have to keep an eye on that 43, because he's really closing in quite quickly here to the front of the field, doing a very nice job.
Definitely some new drives up in the midst here on the long one, there's a little bit of fall off, maybe only have a second, but there's enough that it might be affecting these drivers late. And Duncan Wood is finally making some moves on a very racy racetrack. And same can be said for Burnett. He was running up front in the point standings for a while, but he crashed out a couple times. He had a motor explode on him in a couple of races in a row. He's had a bad stretch, but Burnett, he still has a shot to possibly make it in for a wild card. And we'll see what ends up happening here. Might see pit stops here in a couple of laps time. And you mentioned it, the 43, and also shout out to some of these guys outside the top 10, top 15. Davenport having a good one, Ryan Dwani again, and the 44 started 30th, and he's inside the top 15 now. Almost inside the top 15, inside the top 20. Might be able to get the top 15 here, but for these pit crews, Andrew, what do they do? Do they do the undercut or the overcut, and do they do 2 tires or 4 tires?
I was mentioning earlier, I think that 2 tires would probably be the play. You try to shorten your amount of time on pit road as much as possible. Whether the overcut or the undercut's going to be the way to go, that is a very good question, because at a track like this, the speeds are probably high enough that the draft will play a hand in your lap time. So you definitely want to pit with a few guys. It's almost like a super speedway in that regard, where it's like you want to pit with a few guys, but you don't want to pit with the whole field, because if you're pitting toward the back of a giant train, you're going to have to slow down earlier, and that's going to cost you a lot of time. So, may see some takers here. Oh, here we go. Game on.
A lot of the leaders coming down. So Duncan Ward stayed out in the 5. He was the first one to stay down, but Watson and Mendoza, Crown, Burnett, Monaco, Perry. I mean, a lot of these guys up towards the front of the field in this race have come down, and I'm always a bigger fan of the undercut, I must admit, than the overcut. I think you could get the overcut to work here, perhaps at Michigan, because the tire wear isn't as big as we've seen at other tracks. But this is where the race could be won or lost. You need to have a clean pit stop here. If you're the 48, the 29, these guys, the 7, 31, these guys that are right up there in contention. Looks like the 43's done, and 2 tires. Oh, 48 a little slow, and Mendoza's going to get out in front.
7's, oh man, 7 really lost out.
And Rowe as well. 31.
A 2 tire stop, but you got multiple drivers with a slow stop. Duncan Ward, the first one in on the second group, and I think that is basically, as I don't know what's going on, that the pivotal entry.
Oh.
And you guys might see that in the corner of the screen, and it's like there's basically split between the field. And that's going to be very interesting on who ends up winning this one. Duncan Wood was the first one. Kyle even with a great qualifying one. He had the first pit box, and there goes Duncan, there goes Bradley, there goes Sean Stout. And same with the 45, Eli Bright, Keegan Thompson, 3 wide back there. That might be a little bit tight. And it looks like they are good. And let's see, there's Mendoza in the 29. And then there's Duncan Wood in the number 5. Caleb Rose, I think, stayed out an extra lap maybe. But Mendoza's going to be the race leader once everything cycles out here.
Yeah, but not by a whole lot. Very good stop for the 5. So we'll see if he's maybe going to have enough to try to close in on this 29. And again, that'll kind of play into how the draft will play a part in this. Yeah, we had a few stragglers that kept it out really long. And we'll see where they end up merging out. Again, maybe being able to be more aggressive coming on the pit road might have benefited these guys. Not a whole lot, but looks like a 38 at least is going to gain a good amount of track position here. Caleb Rose, I know that, Stuart, you were saying he was moving his way forward, and it looks like this overcut is actually going to get him into the top 5. So different strategies working for a lot of different guys here.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say the overcut certainly worked for Rose. I mean, he was just outside the top 10 when he came. When the pit stop started. And now he's up in the 4th position. He started 31st in this race in the 38. He's done a great job at working his way forward. Of course, his teammate leads the race in Mendoza. Had a great pit stop there. The 48 is 10th now. So that's how much we talk. I mentioned pit stops before. We've got to be careful. The 14, I think that is back down on the racetrack. Maybe just a slow stop or something's happened there. But talked about, the race could be won or lost on pit road. The 48 and 31, the 7, they had slightly slower stops. And now Watson down in the 10th position after leading so much of this race. So, that pit stop was crucial there. And Mendoza and that team down there, 29 team, and of course, teammate 38's Ryan Sieg Racing, they had good pit stops, and they were working their way forward. And the 28's also up there.
I feel like it's a broken record for Ben Watson. He's had race-winning cars, he's had top 5 speed, but I feel like pit road's been a problem this season for that big machine racing team. And once again, it's going to bite them right there. Mendoza trying to get past Keegan Thompson. Don't know what happened to the 14, but he's going to go a lap down. And I don't know what really came for him, but this might be win number 2 in a row for Duncan Wood here today. Almost won the Coca-Cola 600 as well. And he is on a momentum swing right now. And I think it's going to come down to these top 4 with this race only having 5 laps to go. Maybe Monaco as well. Great one for Monaco. He needs this. I don't know if he can really point his way in. But this is going to be good momentum throughout the summer. But right now, Mendoza trying to get a second win on the season for RSS Racing. But then you got 3 drivers beyond them trying to get the second win on the season just by themselves. Duncan Wood, Caleb Rose, and Jordan Stout.
Yep, just 4 to go here. The 5's going to have to make quick work of this 14. And it looks like he's going to clear this time. So now he's in the draft of the 29. He's got a big run this time. But, of course, catching is one thing. Passing is a whole other beast. As he's going to, try and kind of diamond the corner here a little bit. This might actually pay off. And he's still got a lot of guys that are in it here. Pretty much everyone in the top 5. With 3 laps to go. Battle for the lead, though, is between the 29 and the 5.
The world is preparing to get dunked on once again for the second race running, because the 5 looks very quick. You see Mendoza's a bit too high up the track, and now here comes Rose to the inside, and the 38's got a very real shot at winning this race after starting 31st. He's going to get past this 29 here, I would think, and maybe have a crack at the 5. And Stout's still there. Monaco has really closed in as well in the 97. He's right amongst there. So top 5 all under a blanket at the moment, but Ward trying to pull away. Can Rose close in and get around the 5 with 2 to go? He's right within, he's still within striking distance for sure. So this is going to be a grandstand finish. I'm looking forward to this.
Oh, Duncan goes way wide. Way wide. And now Rose gonna go side by side. Everyone in the top 5 has a shot. Quick shout out to some of those drivers inside the top 10 that need Light Ream, Kyle Craven, and Angel Gutierrez. Continuing the consistent one, but Rose won at Pikes Peak a few races ago. Now to the race lead. Got the college teammates side by side, back to back, but it's gonna be the Power one to go. And we have multiple drivers trying to get the second on the season. Will Duncan Wood go 2 in a row, or will Caleb Rose finally have some good luck? But he's going to go a little bit wide himself. These 2 tires are really one out now. Monaco's going to go inside for 3rd, and for the race lead, Duncan Wood and Caleb Rose down the back stretch for the final time in the Cooper Stanley 250. It's going to come down to 3 and 4. Who wants the second one on the season more? Duncan Wood or Caleb Rose? Rose with the 1 on the outside. Watch out for Jordan Stout, maybe. Side by side of turn number 4 is going to be Caleb Rose.
38.
Whew. Second winner of the season for Caleb Rose.
Phenomenal racing there at the end.
Absolutely. And you saw Rose there, got the run. He stayed on the right rear of the 5, the right rear quarter panel. Then Ward had to check up just a little bit. Rose was able to keep his foot on the gas, and it was a good finish there at the end. Good battle, and what a drive from Rose to start all the way back down towards the rear of the field and work his way to the win. And Andrew, you mentioned it. He got a couple of lap younger tyres, and that may have contributed to that. But that's a great win.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's cool to see. We love Caleb.
And it's like what Stuart said, and what you said too, Andrew. The 38 did the overcut. He's one of the 3 drivers that did it. And he comes home with barely win number 2 on the season. And Now, that's going to be 3 draws inside the top 10 in points, with 2 wins to the name. Logan Williams, Willem Ayers, and now Caleb Rose. What a race that was, and I'm glad to say that was a actual calm race. Fantastic stuff all day long, though. That was some fantastic stuff. Some of the best racing I've seen at Michigan in a while, here on this channel at least, and what a battle that was, and it came down to the off-turn 4, and Caleb Rose barely hanging on to get his second win on the season. Duncan Wood almost got his second win in a row, gets second. Jordan Stout, a good bounce back after what happened at Charlotte. He gets fourth. Felicity Mendoza, quietly consistent, won as of now in the series, another top 5. And then Eric Monaco. That's going to be a draw that I feel like we might have to watch out for, and especially college as a whole. I think those two colors are the strongest pairing. Stout has been strong all year. Monaco, slow start, but that's going to help him in the point standings again. Angel Couture's another consistent one. Going to be in the midst for the cutoff line. And then a great one from Kyle Craven. Won the pole, top 10 all day, gets 7th, Dwani in 8th, Eli Bright in 9th, and Bradley rounds out the top 10. And then Logan Williams stood 30th here today. Let me just double check that. Yes, 30th for Logan Williams, 31st for Caleb Rose, and Caleb Rose won. So, if that tells you everything that you need to know about Michigan, somehow here today, these draws were able to go from the back to the front, and Caleb Rose started 31st, Logan Williams started in 30th, and Williams finishes 11th, and Caleb Rose with the win. What's your final thoughts here in a normal race here in the National Series, and what are you guys expecting when it's your turn here tomorrow for 50 laps here at Michigan?
I think we're going to see a bit more of the same, a lot of side-by-side racing, but also at the same time a lot of games as far as trying to get into the correct lane at the correct time. Of course, Caleb Rose found that outside lane, and despite washing way up the racetrack there on the last lap, was able to hold on and use that momentum on the outside to keep it ahead of Duncan Ward and got the win. Heartbreak, though, for guys like Benny Watson, who led a lot of laps there in the first run, unfortunately going to end up 15th. Gavin Perry, we were seeing him up at the front, wound up 28th. Yeah, 28th. That's a bummer there. 32nd for the outside pole sitter and Alexander Rowe. That's quite a bummer there for some guys that really had a lot of speed. Roberto Crown Jr., we saw him pretty far up there, going to end up 18th. So, yep, comers and goers. And I think that's going to be more of the same, especially with it being 50 laps instead of just 30. But that was fun, and always happy to be up here in the booth for one of these races. Nathan, thank you for having me. That was a blast.
Yeah, I'd just like to echo a lot of the statements that Andrew's just made about this race, and particularly Alexander Rowe. I mean, to run up front, he's top 5, top 10 pretty much all day, ends up 32nd. I mean, that's brutal. Even Roberto Crown finished 18th. You know, they were up there in the race, and obviously Watson led the most laps, I think, off the top of my head, and he ended up 15th after a bad pit stop. And another thing as well, you know, Chris Jericho was actually ahead of Rose coming onto pit road. Rose ended up ahead. You know, a lot of this victory, a lot of it goes to the driver, obviously, and the car, but also the pit road, the team down there at RSS Racing. You know, were fantastic on pit road. With 29, got the 29 out in front. 29 finished 4th. You know, it does matter. It does count for a loss in a race like this, where the field is very, very close together. So, yeah, fantastic win for Caleb. Obviously solidifies his spot in the top 10, and Duncan Ward as well. Even though he didn't quite win the race, you know, I think second's a very good result. Jordan Stout. Hey, Jordan Stout could actually. Is he gonna? Yeah, no, I think he will. I think he'll jump into the top 10 because Abel didn't have a good run. Miller didn't have a good run. Carson Miller, that is, in 26th. So he might jump in. So that's a really good run for the 11. We just mentioned Monaco. You know, there are a lot of guys that really benefit from a result like this.
Absolutely, and I think that cutoff line might get a heck of a lot tighter with some drivers not having a good day, but with some drivers having really good days that need it, like Jordan Stout, like Dwani with a top 10 again, Angel Gutierrez with another good one by Lewin. And then Monaco, I think that could be a sleeper. I think that team, of course, he is the season 2 champion way back when it was equal wings, but I think Monaco, he's starting to figure it out. That team's starting to figure it out, and I wouldn't be surprised if that team steals the win here in the last 5 races, but we see it all year long, and a prime example is Ben Watson. He was strong all day long, but guys like Watson, Clown Jr., Alexander Rowe, etc. had a slow pit stop, and once again here in the National Series, that is what changes everything, and that's why some of those drivers, like Alexander Rowe especially, he has a lot of speed, but his pit crew is laying him down. That's all for me. Thanks for Stuart and Andrew for joining me up here in the booth. Good luck in the JBL Cup Series race tomorrow afternoon. And next week, we will be up in Road America for the first road course race of the season for the Krispy Kreme National Series, and that is the halfway point of the season. So, we'll see how that goes. Until tomorrow, for the Auto Owners 400 for the JBL Cup Series, congratulations to Caleb Rose on win number 2 on the season, and we'll see you guys next week at Road America.